Every single day, millions of cars roll over speed bumps without a second thought. They jolt your suspension. They slow you down when you're already running late. They make that annoying thump-thump sound that everyone hates. And once you drive past them, they just sit there completely useless, just another piece of rubber or concrete on the road doing nothing but frustrating drivers. But what if that same everyday speed bump could actually generate electricity every time a car drives over it? Not enough to power your entire house, but enough to charge a battery, enough to light up LED streetlights or warning signs, enough to take something we all complain about and turn it into something that actually gives back. That's the idea I wanted to test. Most people see a speed bump and think it's just there to slow traffic down. I started looking at it differently. Every time a vehicle drives over one, there's a strong downward force pushing on that bump. Usually, that force is completely wasted. The car bounces, the suspension works harder for a second, and then it's gone. But what if we could capture some of that energy instead? I didn't want to build some complicated new machine from scratch. I wanted to take something that already exists on roads all over the world and upgrade it. Turn a regular speed bump into a small, simple power generator. So I decided to try. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I took an ordinary speed bump and turned it into a device that can harvest energy from passing cars. You'll see the parts I used, the mistakes I made along the way, and what actually happened when I tested it with a real vehicle. But before we get into the build, let me be clear about something. This isn't some miracle-free energy device. It's not going to replace power plants. What it can do is take wasted motion from something we already deal with every day and convert it into usable electricity. And if it works even a little bit, it opens up some interesting possibilities for how we think about energy and infrastructure. So let's start from the beginning with an ordinary speed bump that isn't doing anything at all, and see if we can turn it into a source of energy. Let's find out what happens. So I had this idea in my head. Instead of building some fancy new device from scratch, I wanted to take something that already exists and make it better. Something we already see on roads everywhere. A regular speed bump. Most speed bumps are pretty simple. They're usually made of rubber or plastic, sometimes concrete. Their only job is to slow cars down. They don't generate anything. They don't store energy. They just sit there and get run over thousands of times. I started wondering, what if I could open one up and put something inside? Something that could turn that downward force from a passing car into electricity. The basic concept was simple in theory. When a car drives over the bump, it pushes down with a lot of weight. If I could capture that pushing motion and turn it into rotation, I could spin a generator. And if I could spin a generator, I could create electricity. But turning that idea into something real was going to be the hard part. First, I needed to find a speed bump I could actually work with. I didn't want to steal one from the road, so I looked for a used one or something I could buy secondhand. After some searching, I managed to get my hands on a regular rubber speed bump, the kind you often see in parking lots or residential areas. It was heavier than I expected. These things are built to take a beating from cars every day, so they're pretty solid. I brought it back to my workspace and started taking it apart. Most speed bumps like this are hollow inside or have some basic reinforcement. Mine had a fairly simple structure, basically a thick rubber shell with some internal supports. As I was cutting into it and removing the top layer, I started thinking about what kind of mechanism I could fit inside. The most straightforward way to convert that downward push into rotation is something called a rack and pinion system. When the bump gets pushed down, the rack, a straight gear, moves down with it and turns the pinion a round gear. That rotation can then be connected to a generator. I also knew I would need springs, strong ones, because after the car passes, the bump needs to come back up to its original position so it's ready for the next vehicle. Without good springs, the mechanism would just stay down and stop working. For the generator itself, I decided to use a DC motor. Not a tiny hobby motor, but a stronger one, something that could handle being spun by the weight of a real car. I had an old one from a previous project, so I planned to test with that first. I also needed gears, probably a gear ratio that increases the speed of rotation, because the bump doesn't move very far when a car drives over it. A short push needs to be turned into faster spinning if I want to generate decent electricity. And of course, I needed a way to store the electricity. That meant batteries and some kind of charge controller to make sure everything was safe. At this point, I had a rough plan. Use the the downward motion of the speed bump. Convert it into rotation using a rack and pinion. Increase the rotation speed with gears. Spin a DC motor to generate electricity. Store it in a battery. It sounded good on paper, but I knew from experience that things like this rarely work perfectly the first time. Still, I was excited to start building. I laid out all the parts I had collected and started figuring out how to fit everything inside the speed bump without making it too tall or unstable. Because if the bump became too high or too stiff, it could actually be dangerous for cars. That was something I had to keep in mind the whole time. So with the speed bump opened up and the parts ready, it was time to start putting the mechanism together. But as soon as I began assembling, I quickly realized this was going to be more difficult than I thought. Almost as soon as I started putting the pieces together, problems began to show up. When I pressed down on the speed bump by hand, the rack and pinion moved, but the motor barely turned. The rotation was too slow and too weak. No matter how hard I pushed, the generator didn't produce enough electricity to light even a small LED. I immediately knew the issue was the gear ratio. The bump only moves a very short distance when compressed, maybe just a few centimeters. That short movement simply wasn't enough to spin the motor fast enough or with enough force. So I started swapping out the gears. I tried several different combinations, increasing the gear ratio to make the motor spin faster. After many attempts, the motor finally began to turn more noticeably when I pressed the bump. It was progress, but still not enough. The next problem was even more frustrating. After I pushed the bump down, it wouldn't return to its original position properly. The springs I had used at first were too weak. They couldn't lift the weight of the mechanism back up, so after one press, everything just stayed down. That meant the bump wouldn't reset for the next car. I had to go back and find stronger springs. In the end, I replaced them with heavier industrial compression springs. Once I installed them, the bump finally started returning to position after being pressed. That was a relief. But then another issue appeared. Even with better gears and stronger springs, the movement still felt rough. Sometimes the rack would bind or get slightly stuck when moving up and down. I realized I needed something to make the rotation smoother and prevent the mechanism from working against itself. That's when I added a one-way bearing, also known as a freewheel clutch. This small component allows the shaft to spin freely in one direction while locking in the other. It made a big difference. Now, when the bump was pushed down, it would spin the generator, and when the bump returned, the bearing would disengage so it didn't fight against the motor. With these changes, the mechanism finally started to feel more reliable. When I pressed down on the bump by hand, the motor spun noticeably faster, and I could measure a small voltage on my multimeter. It wasn't much, just a few volts, but it was real electricity. For the first time, I felt like the idea was actually working. Even so, I knew pressing it by hand was very different from a real car driving over it. A car carries much more weight and comes in at speed. I had no idea how the mechanism would handle that kind of force. There was also the question of durability. Would the gears survive after being hit by hundreds of cars? Would the springs weaken over time? Would the whole thing just break after a few days of use? I didn't have answers to all of these questions yet, but at least now I had something that could actually generate electricity, even if the output was still very small. Before moving on to a real vehicle test, I made one final adjustment. I added a small flywheel to the shaft. The idea was to store a little rotational energy, so the motor would keep spinning for a short moment even after the bump had returned to position. It helped smooth out the power output slightly. At this point, the speed bump was no longer just a piece of rubber. Inside it now had gears, springs, a motor, and a basic electrical system. It was still rough and far from perfect, but it was alive. Now came the part I was both excited and nervous about testing it with an actual car. Because no matter how good it looked on the workbench, the only thing that truly mattered was what would happen when a real vehicle drove over it. Before I go any further, I need to say this clearly. I did not test this speed bump on any public road. I tested it in a private driveway at very low speed. This was only an experiment to see if the idea could work at all. Putting something like this on a real road without proper engineering approval, structural testing, and legal permission would be unsafe and illegal. So if you're thinking about trying something similar, please only do it on your own private property, and even then, be extremely careful. With that said, here's what happened when I finally put it to the test. I set everything up in my driveway. The speed bump was connected to a small 12V battery through a charge controller, and I wired a few bright LED lights directly to the output so I could see immediately if it was producing power. I also kept a multimeter connected so I could watch the voltage in real time. Then I brought my car around. I started very slowly, probably around 5 to 8 kilometers per hour. As the front wheels rolled onto the bump, I could feel the car dip slightly. Inside the bump, the mechanism compressed. For a split second, everything went quiet in my head. Then I looked at the multimeter. The voltage jumped from 0 up to almost 9 volts as the car's weight pushed the bump down. The LEDs flickered on for a moment. It wasn't bright, but they lit up. Actual electricity was being generated from the weight of the car. I reversed and drove over it again. Same result, voltage spike, lights flickered. Every single time the car rolled over the bump, the system produced power. After about 20 slow passes, I checked the battery. The voltage had increased not by a lot, but it was measurable. The battery was actually being charged, even if very slowly. I stood there for a while, just watching. For weeks I had been fighting with this thing. Weak springs, wrong gear ratios, mechanisms that wouldn't reset. Times when I thought it would never produce anything useful. And now, with a real car driving over it, it was doing exactly what I hoped it would do, turning the downward force of a vehicle into electricity. It wasn't much power. One car probably only produced a few watt-seconds of energy, but it was real. It came from something that used to be completely useless after slowing cars down. I also learned something important during the test. When the car went a little faster, the voltage was slightly higher, but the bump snapped back more aggressively. There's a clear trade-off between speed, power output, and how much stress the mechanism takes. If anyone ever wanted to develop this idea further, that balance would need a lot of work. For me though, this test was enough. I had taken an ordinary speed bump, something most people only see as an annoyance, and turned it into a device that could generate electricity. It was rough, inefficient, and nowhere near ready for any real-world use. But the core idea worked. And standing there in the driveway, watching the LEDs light up every time the car drove over it, that felt like a real win. So, what did I actually achieve with this project? I took a regular speed bump, something that normally just slows cars down and gets ignored, and turned it into a device that can generate electricity from the weight of passing vehicles. When a car drove over it, the mechanism inside converted that downward force into rotation, which spun a motor and produced electricity. I was able to measure voltage, see LEDs light up, and even charge a small battery, even if only by a tiny amount. That part worked. But I also need to be honest about what it didn't do. The amount of electricity generated from one car passing over is very small. We're talking about just a few watt-seconds per vehicle. To charge a battery in any meaningful way, you would need hundreds or even thousands of cars driving over it every day. The system is also still rough. The mechanism would likely wear out quickly under real traffic. It's not durable enough, not efficient enough, and definitely not ready for any practical use outside of an experiment. This was never meant to be a finished product. It was an experiment to see if the basic idea was even possible. And in that sense, it succeeded. Still, I think there's something interesting here worth thinking about. Every day, millions of vehicles drive over speed bumps all around the world. Most of that energy is simply wasted as heat, noise, and wear on suspension systems. If we could capture even a small percentage of it safely and efficiently, it could potentially power things like streetlights, traffic sensors, or warning signs in certain locations, especially in places with very heavy traffic. But getting from this rough prototype to something actually usable would require serious engineering, proper materials, safety testing, and legal approval. It's not something you can just build in your garage and install on a real road. I want to say this one more time because it's important. Do not attempt to build or install anything like this on public roads. It's not safe, and it's not legal without the right permits and certifications. Even on private property, you need to be extremely careful with structural integrity and vehicle safety. So what's the real takeaway from this project? For me, it's a reminder that energy is all around us, even in places we usually ignore. Speed bumps, footsteps, vibrations, moving vehicles, there's motion happening constantly in our daily lives. Most of it gets wasted. But if we look at these things differently, sometimes we can find small ways to capture a little bit of that energy and put it to use. This speed bump didn't change the world. It didn't even charge a battery very well. But it proved that an ordinary object can be reimagined. And sometimes, that's where interesting ideas begin. If this project gave you any new thoughts about energy, infrastructure, or just looking at everyday things differently, then I consider it a success. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I appreciate it. And if you have ideas on how something like this could be improved or used in the real world, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd be interested to hear what you think.